Welcome to Planet Earth. A world where ancient civilizations and raw nature stand side by side. Across continents, UNESCO World Heritage Sites protect stories written in stone, water, and living landscapes. These places are not only beautiful, they carry memory, survival, and human imagination across thousands of years. Planet Earth is home to extraordinary places shaped by both people and nature. From vast natural ecosystems to historic human achievements, these sites define our shared heritage. UNESCO World Heritage Sites represent locations of global importance. They are preserved not for one nation, but for all humanity. In this journey, we explore the most beautiful UNESCO sites on the planet. Each location reveals how history, culture, and nature connect across time. Before we begin this global journey, we have a question for you. Which type of UNESCO World Heritage Site do you find most fascinating? Tell us your answer in the comments. If you enjoy meaningful journeys like this, please support the channel. Liking and subscribing is completely free, but it helps creators more than you can imagine. And tell us in the comments, which country or place should we explore next? Mont Saint-Michel. Mont Saint-Michel rises from a wide tidal bay along the northern coast of France. Its silhouette changes constantly as the sea advances and retreats around it. The site stands on a rocky islet composed of hard granite. This natural base allowed construction to climb vertically over centuries. Settlement activity here began more than 1,000 years ago. Over time, stone buildings were added layer by layer, adapting to limited space. The village developed in a circular pattern. Narrow streets spiral upward, following the natural slope of the rock. Lower levels contain homes, storehouses, and defensive walls. Upper levels were reserved for administration and communal functions. Tidal conditions define daily rhythms around Mont Saint-Michel. Water levels can rise rapidly, cutting off access within hours. Causeways historically shifted with sediment and currents. Modern walkways now restore natural water flow across the bay. The surrounding flats support a unique coastal ecosystem. Salt-tolerant grasses and shallow waters shape local livelihoods. Local food traditions reflect the bay environment. Seafood and pasture-raised products are common regional staples. Today, only a small population lives permanently on the island. Tourism provides the primary economic support for maintenance and services. Visitor movement follows controlled routes. These paths protect stone surfaces and fragile foundations. Restoration work focuses on long-term stability. Engineers monitor erosion, moisture, and structural load distribution. Mont Saint-Michel represents careful adaptation to extreme geography. It demonstrates how human design can respond to powerful natural forces. Kakadu National Park. Kakadu National Park spreads across northern Australia as one of the country's largest protected landscapes. It covers nearly 20,000 square kilometers / 7,722 square miles of plains, wetlands, rivers, and rocky escarpments. The park's geography is shaped by seasonal change. Monsoon rains transform dry ground into wide floodplains and reflective wetlands. Ancient sandstone cliffs rise above low-lying areas. Waterfalls appear during the wet season, cutting paths through layered rock. River systems define movement across the park. Slow channels, billabongs, and flood zones support rich plant life. Kakadu is known for exceptional biodiversity. Reptiles, mammals, and aquatic species thrive in varied habitats. Bird life is especially prominent. Hundreds of species rely on wetlands for feeding and migration. Human presence here extends back more than 20,000 years. Archaeological sites record long-term interaction with the environment. Rock surfaces display detailed paintings created across generations. These images document animals, daily activities, and environmental change. Traditional land knowledge shaped movement, food collection, and seasonal travel. Water cycles guided settlement patterns over thousands of years. Local food traditions developed around rivers and floodplains. Fishing and plant harvesting followed seasonal availability. Tourism today focuses on guided walks and river cruises. Access is restricted in sensitive ecological zones. Visitor routes are carefully planned. Boardwalks and lookouts reduce impact on fragile ground. Conservation remains a priority. Fire management and water monitoring protect ecosystem balance. Kakadu National Park reflects deep time and living systems. It shows how landscape, climate, and human adaptation remain closely connected. Jeju Island. Jeju Island lies off the southern coast of South Korea, shaped by volcanic activity and ocean currents. It is the country's largest island, formed by repeated eruptions over hundreds of thousands of years. At the island's center rises Halasan, a dormant volcano reaching 1,947 meters / 6,388 feet. Its slopes feed streams, forests, and fertile plains below. Lava flows created tunnels, cliffs, and layered rock fields. These formations define much of Jeju's rugged interior. The coastline alternates between black volcanic stone and long sandy beaches. Waves and wind continue to shape the island's edges. Human settlement developed around farming and fishing. Isolation encouraged strong local traditions and self-sufficient communities. Villages feature stone walls built to withstand powerful sea winds. Homes and fields reflect adaptation to limited land and rough weather. Jeju's culture emphasizes respect for nature and seasonal rhythms. Daily life follows cycles of planting, harvesting, and coastal activity. Local food relies on island resources. Meals commonly feature seafood, root vegetables, citrus fruits, and pork dishes. Tourism now plays a major role in the island's economy. Visitors explore volcanic landscapes, coastal trails, and natural viewpoints. Despite popularity, large areas remain protected. Environmental rules limit development near sensitive sites. Walking paths guide access through lava fields and forest zones. These routes balance exploration with conservation. Jeju Island offers a clear record of geological change. It shows how volcanic landforms shape culture and livelihood. The island blends natural forces with everyday life. Its identity remains closely tied to the land and surrounding sea. Amalfi Coast. The Amalfi Coast runs along southern Italy's Sorrentine Peninsula, where mountains meet the sea. Sheer limestone cliffs drop directly into deep blue water, creating dramatic elevation changes. The coastline extends roughly 50 kilometers (31 miles). Its shape is defined by steep slopes, narrow inlets, and small natural harbors. Human settlement adapted carefully to limited flat land. Buildings rise vertically, following the contours of the cliffs. Villages developed as compact clusters connected by stairways and winding roads. Architecture prioritizes stability, airflow, and views rather than wide streets. Terraced hillsides are a defining feature of the landscape. Stone walls support citrus groves, vineyards, and olive trees. Agriculture here relies on manual labor and careful land use. Terraces reduce erosion while maximizing sunlight exposure. Maritime trade supported growth for centuries. Small ports connected local products to regional markets. Today, tourism anchors the regional economy. Hospitality, transport, and food services provide most employment. Local cuisine reflects geography and climate. Meals emphasize seafood, fresh vegetables, citrus, olive oil, and handmade pasta. Road travel follows cliff edges with frequent elevation changes. Scenic routes reveal bays, headlands, and coastal towns below. Boat travel offers an alternative perspective. Sea routes expose hidden coves and steep rock faces. Seasonal rhythms influence daily life. Activity levels shift with weather and visitor flow. Preservation efforts focus on infrastructure and landscape stability. Construction controls protect slopes and historic settlements. The Amalfi Coast demonstrates long-term adaptation to extreme terrain. It shows how human settlement can coexist with challenging geography. Jaipur. Jaipur is located on the eastern edge of the Thar Desert in northern India. Low hills of the Aravalli Range form a natural boundary around the city. The city was founded in 1727 as a planned capital. Its layout followed a grid system, unusual for South Asia at that time. Wide avenues intersect at right angles. This design improved movement, ventilation, and administrative control. Buildings along major streets share a uniform pink tone. The color created visual consistency and reflected local stone materials. Jaipur developed as a center of governance and trade. Caravan routes linked the city to desert regions and fertile plains. Craft production played a central economic role. Textiles, stone carving, metalwork, and gemstone cutting supported urban growth. Residential districts were organized by occupation. This structure allowed efficient production and strong community ties. Water management shaped daily life. Stepwells, tanks, and channels stored seasonal rainfall in a dry climate. Food traditions reflect resource efficiency. Meals rely on grains, legumes, spices, and preserved ingredients. Markets remain active social spaces. Streets are still associated with specific trades and crafts. Modern Jaipur continues to expand beyond its historic core. Tourism, education, and services now drive much of the economy. Traffic and population growth present ongoing challenges. Urban planning balances expansion with heritage protection. Jaipur illustrates early urban design adapted to climate and trade. It shows how planning, economy, and environment shaped a lasting city. Old Town of Prague. The Old Town of Prague occupies the historic core of the Czech capital along the Vltava River. Its location supported early trade, river transport, and political life. The district developed gradually from the 9th century onward. Merchants and craftsmen shaped a dense network of streets and courtyards. Urban form here follows medieval logic rather than symmetry. Narrow lanes curve unexpectedly, opening into wide public squares. Stone buildings display layered architectural styles. Gothic foundations support Renaissance facades and later Baroque details. The central square functioned as a civic and commercial hub. Markets, public announcements, and gatherings defined its daily rhythm. Timekeeping and astronomy held practical importance in the city. Mechanical clocks reflected both scientific interest and public order. Residential and commercial spaces remain closely integrated. Shops, workshops, and homes share the same structures. Construction favored durability and density. Thick walls and compact plots maximized limited space. Local culture values public life and walkability. Daily routines unfold in streets, cafes, and small plazas. Food traditions reflect Central European climate and agriculture. Meals often feature bread, vegetables, grains, and slow-cooked dishes. The Old Town was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1992. Protection focuses on preserving urban fabric and street patterns. Tourism supports restoration and maintenance. Visitor access is guided to reduce wear on historic surfaces. Despite heavy visitation, the district remains lived in. Residents continue daily life within historic buildings. The Old Town of Prague shows continuity over centuries. It demonstrates how medieval urban spaces adapt without losing identity. Yellowstone National Park. Yellowstone National Park spreads across a high plateau in the western United States. It extends over parts of Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. The park covers about 8,983 square kilometers / 3,468 square miles of protected land. Its scale makes it one of the largest intact ecosystems in North America. Yellowstone sits above an active volcanic system. Heat beneath the surface powers extensive geothermal features. Geysers, hot springs, and steaming vents appear across open basins. Minerals create vivid colors around water and rock edges. Rivers cut deep channels through the plateau. The Yellowstone River forms wide canyons and powerful waterfalls. Elevation differences shape climate zones within the park. Conditions range from alpine cold to dry grasslands. Wildlife moves freely across these habitats. Large mammals rely on seasonal migration and open space. Human use of the region dates back thousands of years. Early communities followed animal movements and water sources. Yellowstone was established as the world's first national park in 1872. This decision marked a turning point in global conservation history. Roads connect major areas of interest. Travel distances are long, making planning essential. Facilities support extended stays. Lodges, campsites, and visitor centers operate during warmer months. Tourism contributes significantly to regional economies. Access rules aim to protect fragile geothermal ground. Seasonal change defines the park's character. Snow, steam, and animal behavior shift dramatically through the year. Yellowstone represents raw geological energy in motion. It shows how natural systems function at continental scale. Pyramids of Giza. The Pyramids of Giza stand on a limestone plateau at the edge of the Nile Valley. Their position overlooks fertile floodplains and the open desert beyond. Construction took place around 2600 BCE during Egypt's Old Kingdom. The site reflects centralized planning and long-term organization. Three major pyramids dominate the complex. Each was built for a different ruler and aligned with remarkable accuracy. Stone blocks were cut locally and transported across prepared routes. Individual blocks can weigh several tons. Builders arranged courses with consistent angles and tight joints. This precision helped the structures endure for millennia. The surrounding area includes causeways, temples, and smaller satellite pyramids. Together, these elements formed a carefully structured ceremonial landscape. Archaeological evidence points to a skilled permanent workforce. Nearby settlements supported labor, food supply, and administration. Daily life revolved around seasonal cycles of the Nile. Flooding enabled agriculture that sustained large populations. Food traditions relied on grains, vegetables, and preserved products. Such diets supported intensive physical labor. The plateau's geology contributed to durability. Hard limestone resisted erosion better than surrounding sands. Over time, the pyramids became symbols of continuity and engineering skill. Their scale communicated authority and long-term vision. The site was listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1979. Protection focuses on structural stability and visitor management. Tourism plays a major role in the local economy today. Defined routes limit impact on fragile ground surfaces. Ongoing research uses modern scanning and mapping techniques. These studies refine understanding of construction methods. The Pyramids of Giza represent early large-scale engineering. They show how planning, resources, and landscape were unified into lasting form. Ha Long Bay. Ha Long Bay unfolds along Vietnam's northeastern coast, opening into the Gulf of Tonkin. The seascape is defined by thousands of limestone towers rising directly from calm water. The bay covers roughly 1,553 square kilometers / 600 square miles. Its terrain was shaped by erosion acting over millions of years. Steep islands vary in height, shape, and spacing. Some form narrow channels, while others stand alone in open water. Rock faces show visible layers formed by ancient marine deposits. Rain, wind, and waves continue to sculpt their surfaces. The bay's waters remain relatively sheltered. This creates ideal conditions for diverse marine ecosystems. Mangroves, coral reefs, and seagrass beds support fish and invertebrates. These habitats form the ecological base of the region. Human activity here dates back thousands of years. Early communities relied on fishing and coastal navigation. Floating villages developed as permanent settlements. Homes and boats adapt to tidal movement and seasonal weather. Local food traditions center on the sea. Meals commonly include fish, shellfish, rice, and simple herbs. Boat travel remains the primary way to experience the bay. Routes pass beneath arches, through caves, and between stone pillars. Some caves contain large chambers formed by water flow. Natural light reveals textured walls and mineral patterns. Ha Long Bay was recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1994. The designation highlights geological and scenic value. Tourism is carefully managed. Permits and fixed routes reduce environmental pressure. Conservation focuses on water quality and habitat protection. Waste control and monitoring remain ongoing priorities. Ha Long Bay presents a landscape shaped by time and water. It shows how slow geological processes create lasting natural form. Hadrian's Wall. Hadrian's Wall stretches across northern England, linking the Irish Sea with the North Sea. Its route follows ridgelines, valleys, and open plains shaped by natural terrain. Construction began in AD 122 during Roman rule in Britain. The project was completed within a few decades through coordinated effort. The wall runs about 117 kilometers/73 miles from coast to coast. Its form changes between stone walls, turf sections, and earthwork. Defensive design relied on visibility and control rather than height alone. Elevated positions allowed long-distance observation across the frontier. Fortifications were placed at regular intervals. Large forts housed troops, while smaller mile castles controlled movement. Watchtowers connected these points visually. Signals could be passed quickly along the entire line. The wall also functioned as an administrative boundary. Gates regulated trade, travel, and taxation across regions. Supporting roads ran parallel to the structure. These routes enabled supply transport and rapid troop movement. Civilian settlements grew near major forts. Local economies developed around food supply, crafts, and services. Daily life mixed military routine with civilian activity. Soldiers relied on grain, livestock, and preserved foods. After Roman withdrawal, the wall lost strategic importance. Stone was reused in nearby buildings and farms. Large sections remain visible today. Walking trails trace the original alignment across countryside. Archaeological study continues along the route. Findings improve understanding of frontier management and daily life. Hadrian's Wall was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1987. Preservation focuses on landscape context and structural stability. The wall reflects organized planning across vast distance. It stands as a record of how geography shaped imperial borders. Venice. Venice is set within a shallow lagoon on the northern Adriatic Sea. The city spreads across more than 100 small islands separated by narrow canals. Its geography dictated an unusual urban solution. Roads were replaced by waterways, and boats became primary transport. Buildings rest on millions of wooden piles driven into soft sediment. Stone structures were constructed on top, distributing weight across the lagoon floor. Venice emerged as a maritime power during the Middle Ages. Control of sea routes supported trade between Europe and the Eastern Mediterranean. Urban form follows water corridors rather than grids. Canals curve between dense blocks of housing, workshops, and palaces. The Grand Canal functions as the main artery. It connects key districts through a wide S-shaped route. Bridges link neighborhoods and shorten walking distances. Many entrances open directly onto water rather than streets. Economic life historically centered on shipping, crafts, and commerce. Boat building, glass-making, and textile work supported long-term prosperity. Food traditions reflect lagoon conditions. Local dishes rely on seafood, rice, vegetables, and regional grains. Tourism now plays a central economic role. Visitor movement is managed to reduce pressure on fragile infrastructure. Seasonal flooding presents ongoing challenges. Water control systems aim to protect streets and buildings. Despite these pressures, Venice remains a living city. Residents continue daily routines shaped by tides and narrow space. Public squares serve as social anchors. They provide open areas within a tightly built environment. Venice demonstrates long-term coexistence with water. Its survival depends on balance between heritage, environment, and modern life. Angkor Wat. Angkor Wat stands on a flat plain in northwestern Cambodia, surrounded by forests and ancient waterways. Its scale dominates the landscape, visible from long distances across open terrain. Construction began in the early 12th century. The complex was planned as a single unified design rather than a series of additions. A wide rectangular moat encircles the site. This water system helped regulate flooding and stabilize the ground. Stone causeways lead toward a central tower rising above layered galleries. The layout follows strict geometric alignment and balanced proportions. Sandstone blocks were cut, transported, and assembled with precision. Tight joints reduced the need for binding materials. Long corridors are lined with detailed bas-relief carvings. These panels record court life, processions, and symbolic scenes. Angkor Wat formed part of a vast urban network. Canals, reservoirs, and roads connected temples with residential districts. Water management supported large populations in a seasonal climate. Reservoirs stored rainwater for agriculture and daily use. Rice cultivation sustained workers, artisans, and administrators. Food systems were closely tied to monsoon cycles. After political and economic shifts, the city gradually declined. Vegetation slowly reclaimed much of the surrounding area. Modern research revealed the site's true scale. Aerial surveys exposed hidden infrastructure beneath the forest canopy. Angkor Wat became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1992. Protection focuses on structural stability and surface conservation. Tourism now supports the regional economy. Visitor routes are defined to limit wear on stone surfaces. Angkor Wat represents coordinated planning on a monumental scale. It shows how landscape, water, and design shaped one of history's largest urban centers. Meteora. Meteora rises above the Thessalian plain as a dramatic field of towering stone pillars. These vertical formations stand isolated, sharply defined against open sky and farmland. The rocks were shaped over roughly 60 million years. Erosion carved sandstone into columns, ledges, and narrow summits. The site sits near the Pineios River basin. Wide plains below contrast strongly with steep, elevated stone forms. Human use adapted to extreme terrain. Structures were built directly on rock tops to maximize safety and visibility. Access routes followed natural cracks and steep paths. Movement required careful planning and controlled ascent. Construction relied on local materials and precise placement. Limited space influenced compact layouts and vertical design. The surrounding environment supported long-term settlement nearby. Fertile plains provided grain, vegetables, and livestock. Daily life balanced isolation with resource access. Supplies moved from lowland villages to elevated sites. Local food traditions reflect regional agriculture. Meals emphasize grains, legumes, vegetables, herbs, and olive oil. Tourism now shapes the regional economy. Viewpoints and walking routes attract visitors year-round. Marked paths connect bases of the pillars to panoramic overlooks. Trail design reduces impact on fragile rock and soil. Seasonal weather changes the experience. Fog, snow, and shifting light alter scale and visibility. Conservation focuses on erosion control and visitor management. Monitoring helps protect both stone surfaces and surrounding slopes. Meteora presents a rare interaction of geology and human adaptation. It shows how extreme landscapes guide settlement, movement, and design. Stonehenge. Stonehenge stands on Salisbury Plain, surrounded by open grassland and long horizons. Its isolated setting emphasizes scale, alignment, and visibility across the landscape. Construction occurred in multiple phases between about 3000 BCE and 1600 BCE. Different generations contributed to its evolving form over many centuries. The monument consists of large standing stones arranged in circular patterns. Horizontal lintels were placed on upright stones using fitted joints. Some stones weigh more than 25 metric tons / 55,000 pounds. They were transported from distant regions using coordinated labor. Bluestones originated over 240 kilometers / 150 miles away in Wales. Their movement required planning, timing, and shared effort. The layout shows careful attention to orientation. Key elements align with seasonal solar events. Surrounding earthworks expand the monument's footprint. Ditches, banks, and nearby mounds form a wider ceremonial landscape. Archaeological finds indicate repeated gatherings at the site. People traveled long distances to participate in events here. Daily life for builders relied on farming and animal herding. Grain, dairy, and preserved foods supported communal work. The exact purpose of Stonehenge remains debated. Interpretations include ceremonial use, timekeeping, or social gathering. Sources differ. Stonehenge became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1986. Protection extends to both stones and surrounding terrain. Visitor access follows defined paths. This limits erosion and preserves ground layers. Ongoing research uses modern surveying and dating techniques. New findings continue to refine understanding. Stonehenge represents collective effort across generations. It remains a powerful record of early planning and shared belief. Florence. Florence lies in central Italy along the Arno River, enclosed by low Tuscan hills. Its position supported trade, transport, and compact urban growth. The city expanded rapidly during the late Middle Ages. Banking, textile production, and commerce fueled population and wealth. Urban streets developed organically. Narrow lanes connect dense blocks to open squares used for markets and gatherings. Stone construction dominates the historic core. Buildings were designed for durability, shade, and efficient use of limited space. Public life centered on shared spaces. Squares linked civic buildings, workshops, and residential quarters. Craftsmanship shaped the city's identity. Stonecutters, metalworkers, and textile artisans supported long-term economic stability. Neighborhoods often formed around specific trades. This allowed work and daily life to remain closely connected. The Arno River played a practical role. It powered mills and enabled movement of goods across the region. Food traditions reflect local agriculture. Meals rely on grains, vegetables, olive oil, and seasonal produce. Florence became a center of education and design. Knowledge circulated through workshops, guilds, and private study. Over time, political power shifted, but urban form remained intact. Later development respected existing street patterns and structures. Tourism now supports much of the local economy. Visitor access is managed to protect stone surfaces and narrow streets. Residents continue to live within the historic center. Daily routines unfold alongside preserved architecture. Florence balances continuity and change. It demonstrates how a living city can protect its past while remaining active. Galápagos Islands. The Galápagos Islands lie in the eastern Pacific Ocean, far from mainland South America. Their isolation has shaped a landscape defined by volcanic rock and open sea. The archipelago consists of more than 120 islands and islets. Most were formed by underwater eruptions that slowly rose above the surface. Lava fields, craters, and rugged coastlines dominate the terrain. Many areas remain geologically young and visibly unfinished. Ocean currents meet here from different directions. These waters regulate temperature and influence marine life patterns. Wildlife evolved with little outside contact. Species adapted to local conditions over long periods of time. Animals move freely across beaches and trails. Natural behavior continues with minimal disturbance. Human settlement began relatively late. Small towns developed to support research, conservation, and limited tourism. Land use is tightly regulated. Large areas remain strictly protected to preserve ecological balance. Marine reserves surround the islands. They safeguard fish populations, coral systems, and migratory species. Daily movement between islands depends on boats. Travel routes are planned to reduce environmental impact. Walking paths are clearly marked. Visitors are guided to prevent habitat damage. Local food reflects island conditions. Meals often rely on fresh seafood and imported staples. Scientific research plays a central role in island management. Studies focus on adaptation, biodiversity, and environmental change. Tourism follows strict limits on access and numbers. These controls help protect fragile systems. The Galápagos Islands represent evolution in action. They show how isolation, time, and protection shape life on Earth. Taj Mahal. The Taj Mahal stands beside the Yamuna River in northern India, set within a carefully planned complex. Its white marble surfaces rise above gardens laid out with precise symmetry. Construction began in 1632 and continued for more than 20 years. The project required coordinated work by thousands of skilled artisans. Marble was sourced from distant quarries and transported along river routes. Stone blocks were shaped and assembled with exact alignment. The central dome dominates the structure. It reaches about 73 meters (240 feet) and anchors the entire composition. 4 minaret towers frame the main building. Their slight outward tilt improves stability over time. Decorative stone inlay covers walls and panels. Semi-precious stones form floral and geometric patterns. Water channels run through the surrounding gardens. Reflecting pools mirror the monument and enhance visual balance. Engineering accounted for the nearby river. Foundations were designed to manage moisture and soil movement. The complex includes auxiliary structures arranged along a central axis. Each element reinforces overall symmetry and proportion. Local food traditions of the region reflect agrarian life. Meals rely on grains, legumes, spices, and slow-cooked preparations. The Taj Mahal was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1983. Recognition highlights its craftsmanship and architectural coherence. Tourism plays a major role in Agra's economy today. Timed entry and defined routes protect delicate surfaces. Ongoing conservation addresses pollution and material wear. Cleaning methods are designed to preserve marble texture and color. The Taj Mahal represents refined planning and skilled execution. It remains a global reference for balance, precision, and enduring design. Cappadocia. Cappadocia spreads across central Anatolia as a landscape shaped by fire, wind, and time. Ancient volcanic eruptions covered the region with soft, tough rock. Over thousands of years, erosion sculpted this material into cones, ridges, and deep valleys. These formations create a terrain unlike anywhere else on Earth. The region sits at an average elevation of about 1,000 meters (3,281 feet). Cool nights contrast with warm, dry days. Human settlement adapted closely to this geology. Rock faces were carved into homes, storage chambers, and communal spaces. Entire underground cities were developed beneath the surface. These networks provided shelter, stable temperatures, and long-term security. Surface settlements followed natural contours. Paths and dwellings were positioned to reduce exposure to wind and heat. Fertile volcanic soil supported agriculture. Vineyards, orchards, and grain fields remain part of local life. Food traditions reflect regional resources. Meals often feature grains, legumes, vegetables, and slow-cooked dishes. Valleys display distinct colors and textures. Red, white, and rose tones shift with changing light conditions. Tourism today focuses on landscape exploration. Walking trails pass through narrow gorges and open plateaus. Hot air balloon flights offer aerial views at sunrise. From above, patterns of erosion become clearly visible. Nearby towns support crafts and services. Stone carving and textile work reflect local materials and skills. Conservation efforts protect fragile rock surfaces. Visitor routes are carefully managed to reduce erosion. Cappadocia demonstrates long-term human adaptation to environment. It shows how geology can shape settlement, economy, and daily life. Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon stretches across northern Arizona as a vast carved corridor of stone and sky. Its immense scale becomes clear only when standing at the rim. The canyon extends about 446 kilometers/277 miles in length. In some sections, it reaches depths over 1,800 meters/5,900 feet. The Colorado River flows along the canyon floor. Over millions of years, moving water cut through layered rock. Exposed strata reveal nearly 2 billion years of geological history. Each band records a different environmental era. Elevation changes create distinct climate zones. Temperatures near the river can differ greatly from those at the rim. Vegetation varies with height and exposure. Desert plants grow below, while pine forests appear at higher elevations. Wildlife adapts to extreme conditions. Species include reptiles, birds of prey, and desert mammals. Human presence in the region dates back thousands of years. Early communities used trails, water sources, and seasonal camps. The canyon became a national park in 1919. This designation helped preserve its scale and natural processes. Hiking routes descend from the rim into the canyon. These trails require preparation due to heat and elevation change. Viewpoints line both the north and south rims. Each offers a different perspective on depth and distance. Tourism supports surrounding communities. Access is managed to protect fragile paths and habitats. Seasonal light transforms the canyon's appearance. Shadows and colors shift throughout the day. The Grand Canyon illustrates geological time made visible. It shows how slow natural forces can shape monumental landscapes. Easter Island. Easter Island lies isolated in the southeastern Pacific Ocean, far from any continental landmass. Its remote position shaped a landscape defined by wind, volcanic stone, and open sea. The island was formed by a series of volcanic eruptions. Extinct craters, rolling hills, and rugged coastlines dominate the terrain. Human settlement developed in long isolation. Communities adapted to limited land, fresh water, and soil resources. The island is best known for large stone statues carved from volcanic rock. These figures were produced using locally available materials and organized labor. Quarries, transport paths, and stone platforms remain visible today. They reveal planning adapted to difficult terrain and scarce tools. Agriculture relied on innovation. Stone enclosures protected crops from wind and preserved soil moisture. Coastal waters supported daily life. Fishing and shoreline harvesting provided essential food sources. Local food traditions centered on fish, root crops, and seasonal plants. Preservation methods helped manage periods of scarcity. The island's population remains small. Modern livelihoods depend on fishing, crafts, research, and regulated tourism. Walking routes connect archaeological sites across open grassland. Distances are manageable, but exposure to sun and wind is constant. Easter Island was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1995. Protection focuses on archaeological features and fragile landscapes. Conservation addresses erosion, climate exposure, and visitor impact. Access rules guide movement to reduce surface damage. The island setting emphasizes isolation and endurance. Every feature reflects adaptation shaped by distance and time. Easter Island stands as a record of human resilience. It shows how culture and environment evolve together at the world's edge. Sydney Opera House. The Sydney Opera House sits on Bennelong Point, projecting into Sydney Harbour. Water surrounds the site, giving the structure visibility from land, sea, and sky. Construction began in 1959 and was completed in 1973. The design introduced a form never seen before in large public buildings. Its roof is made of interlocking shell-shaped segments. These concrete shells were engineered to balance weight and strength. The building rests on a broad podium of granite. This base anchors the structure visually to the harbor edge. The Opera House was planned as a multi-venue complex. Different halls serve music, theater, and public events. Interior spaces were designed with acoustic precision. Each hall responds differently to sound and audience size. The surrounding terraces function as public space. Open steps and walkways encourage gathering and movement. The site connects directly to the city's waterfront. Ferries, footpaths, and nearby districts converge here. Local food culture reflects Sydney's coastal setting. Nearby venues feature seafood and regional produce. Tourism plays a major role in daily activity. Guided tours and performances operate throughout the year. The Opera House became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2007. The designation recognized architectural innovation and engineering achievement. Ongoing upgrades support modern performance needs. Changes are carefully planned to preserve original design intent. The building functions as both landmark and workplace. Artists, staff, and visitors share the space daily. The Sydney Opera House represents modern design shaped by place. It shows how architecture can define a city's global identity. Plitvice Lakes National Park. Plitvice Lakes National Park lies in central Croatia. set between forested mountains and karst limestone terrain. The landscape is defined by water movement, elevation change, and dense woodland. The park covers about 296 square kilometers / 114 square miles of protected land. Its core feature is a chain of 16 terraced lakes arranged across natural steps. These lakes are linked by waterfalls and cascades. Water flows over travertine barriers formed by mineral deposits from springs. Unlike static rock formations, these barriers continue to grow. Their shape changes slowly as minerals settle and plants interact with flowing water. Lake colors shift with light and depth. Tones range from deep blue to turquoise and bright green. Forests surround the water system on all sides. Beech, fir, and spruce dominate higher elevations. Wildlife inhabits quieter zones of the park. Species include deer, foxes, birds, and large mammals in remote areas. Human settlement near the lakes remained limited for centuries. This helped preserve the natural balance of the ecosystem. Plitvice became Croatia's first national park in 1949. It was listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1979. Wooden walkways guide visitors across lakes and streams. These paths allow close viewing without damaging fragile ground. Electric boats connect upper and lower lake sections. Movement is designed to minimize noise and pollution. Seasonal change reshapes the scenery. Spring increases water flow, while winter freezes cascades into ice forms. Tourism supports nearby rural communities. Local economies rely on hospitality and park services. Plitvice Lakes National Park presents living geology in motion. It shows how water, stone, and time continuously reshape the natural world. Amazon rainforest. The Amazon rainforest stretches across northern Brazil, forming the largest tropical forest on Earth. Its vast canopy covers river systems, floodplains, and dense interior landscapes. This region spans more than 5.5 million square kilometers / 2.1 million square miles across South America. Brazil contains the largest share of this interconnected ecosystem. The forest structure is layered. Tall trees form a closed canopy, while understory plants grow in filtered light below. Thousands of rivers and streams shape daily life. Seasonal flooding replenishes soil and supports aquatic habitats. Biodiversity here is exceptionally high. The forest supports countless insects, birds, mammals, and plant species. Human presence dates back thousands of years. Communities settled along rivers, using water routes for movement and trade. Daily activities adapt closely to natural cycles. Fishing, small-scale farming, and forest resources sustain livelihoods. Food traditions rely on river fish, root crops, fruits, and grains. Preparation methods reflect seasonal availability and storage needs. The rainforest plays a major role in climate regulation. It stores large amounts of carbon and influences regional rainfall patterns. Modern access has increased in some areas. Roads and settlements bring both economic opportunity and environmental pressure. Protected areas cover large sections of the forest. National parks and reserves limit land conversion and extraction. Scientific research focuses on ecosystem resilience. Studies examine forest response to climate change and land use. Tourism remains limited and guided. River journeys and forest walks reduce ecological impact. The Amazon rainforest operates at planetary scale. Its health affects ecosystems far beyond South America. Uluru-Kata-Chuta National Park. Uluru-Kata. Chuta National Park lies in Australia's central desert, within a vast arid landscape of red earth. Open plains stretch toward distant horizons, shaped by heat, wind, and long periods without rain. Uluru rises sharply from the desert floor as a single sandstone mass. It reaches about 348 meters / 1,142 feet above ground, with much of its volume underground. The rock surface shows grooves, pits, and smooth curves. These features formed through erosion over hundreds of millions of years. Color changes throughout the day are striking. Morning light brings soft reds, while evening light deepens tones toward orange and brown. Cappadocia is located about 40 kilometers/25 miles west of Uluru. It consists of 36 large rock domes clustered closely together. Narrow valleys cut between these formations. Seasonal water flow shapes channels and shaded corridors. The park experiences extreme climate variation. Daytime heat contrasts with cool nights and sudden temperature shifts. Vegetation is sparse but highly adapted. Native grasses, desert oaks, and shrubs survive long dry periods. Wildlife activity peaks during cooler hours. Birds, reptiles, and small mammals rely on limited water sources. Human presence in the region extends back tens of thousands of years. Archaeological traces show long-term adaptation to desert conditions. Today, tourism is carefully managed. Marked paths guide visitors across sensitive terrain. Visitor centers explain geology and environmental processes. Information focuses on landscape formation and conservation. Uluru Cappadocia National Park represents deep geological time. It shows how slow natural forces shape monumental desert landscapes. The Sundarbans. The Sundarbans stretches along the southern coast of Bangladesh, where rivers meet the Bay of Bengal. This region forms the world's largest continuous mangrove forest. The landscape is shaped by the Ganges, Brahmaputra, and Meghna river systems. Sediment, tides, and currents constantly reshape islands and waterways. The forest covers about 10,000 square kilometers / 3,861 square miles across Bangladesh and India. Roughly 60% lies within Bangladesh. Mangrove trees dominate the terrain. Their exposed root systems stabilize soil and slow coastal erosion. Tidal movement defines daily conditions. Water levels rise and fall, changing navigation routes and access points. The Sundarbans supports rich biodiversity. Fish, birds, reptiles, and mammals depend on interconnected habitats. Predator species occupy upper levels of the food chain. This balance reflects a fully functioning coastal ecosystem. Human settlement is limited to the forest edges. Communities rely on fishing, honey collection, and small-scale resource use. Daily life follows seasonal patterns. Work schedules adjust to tides, storms, and river flow. Food traditions center on river and coastal resources. Rice and fish form the foundation of most meals. The forest acts as a natural barrier. Mangroves reduce storm surge impact during cyclones. The Sundarbans was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1997. Recognition highlights ecological value and ongoing natural processes. Tourism remains tightly regulated. Guided boat routes limit land disturbance. Scientific research focuses on climate resilience. Rising sea levels pose long-term challenges. The Sundarbans exists at the boundary of land and sea. It demonstrates how ecosystems adapt under constant environmental change. Petra. Petra emerges from narrow desert canyons in southern Jordan, carved into rose-colored sandstone cliffs. The approach follows a winding gorge, where high rock walls slowly reveal the city ahead. The site developed over 2,000 years ago as a strategic trade hub. Its position connected caravan routes across Arabia, the Levant, and the Mediterranean. Rather than building upward, inhabitants carved directly into solid rock. Facades, chambers, and stairways were shaped with precise planning. Water management defined survival in this arid environment. Channels, dams, and cisterns captured seasonal rainfall and prevented flash flooding. Urban areas spread across valleys and terraces. Movement followed stone steps and pathways adapted to steep terrain. Sandstone layers display natural color variation. Red, pink, and ochre tones shift as sunlight changes throughout the day. The surrounding landscape is dry and rugged. Sparse vegetation reflects limited rainfall and high temperature variation. Daily life revolved around trade and storage. Goods, animals, and travelers passed through controlled entry points. Food traditions relied on durable resources. Grains, dates, and preserved foods suited long-distance travel and storage. Over time, regional trade patterns shifted. Petra gradually declined and was partially reclaimed by sand and rockfall. For centuries, the city remained largely unknown beyond its region. Rediscovery brought renewed study and global attention. Petra was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1985. Protection focuses on erosion control and structural stability. Tourism now supports nearby communities. Designated routes reduce wear on fragile surfaces. Petra reflects human adaptation to extreme terrain. It shows how engineering, water control, and landscape shaped a lasting desert city. Great Wall. The Great Wall stretches across northern China, following mountains, ridges, deserts, and plains. Its path responds directly to terrain, rising sharply and descending into wide valleys. Construction began as early as the 3rd century BCE. Different dynasties expanded and reinforced the wall over many centuries. When all sections are counted, the wall extends over 20,000 kilometers / 12,427 miles. Materials varied by region, including stone, brick, tamped earth, and wood. The wall was designed as a controlled frontier rather than a single barrier. It guided movement and restricted access along strategic routes. Watchtowers were placed at regular intervals. These allowed observation, signaling, and communication across long distances. Fortified passes marked key entry points. They functioned as checkpoints for travelers, goods, and military units. Supply roads ran parallel to the wall. These routes supported troop movement and maintenance work. Nearby settlements supported construction and defense. Farmers and craftsmen provided food, tools, and materials. Daily life around the wall followed seasonal cycles. Grain storage and livestock were essential for long winters. As military priorities shifted, many sections were abandoned. Stone and brick were reused in local construction. Today, restored stretches attract visitors. Popular routes offer views across rugged landscapes and open countryside. Walking paths trace original alignments. Elevation changes reveal the scale of engineering effort. The Great Wall was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1987. Preservation focuses on stabilizing original materials and terrain. Ongoing research documents remaining sections. Survey work helps protect lesser-known segments. The Great Wall reflects long-term strategic planning. It stands as a record of how geography shaped defense and movement across China. Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu rests high in the Andes of southern Peru, set on a narrow ridge above deep valleys. Clouds often move through the site, changing visibility and light within minutes. The settlement lies at about 2,430 meters / 7,970 feet above sea level. Steep slopes on all sides provide natural separation from surrounding terrain. Construction dates to the 15th century during the Inca period. The location was chosen for access to water, farmland, and defensive advantage. Builders used finely cut limestone blocks. Stones were shaped to fit tightly without mortar, increasing stability during earthquakes. Agricultural terraces stepped down the mountainside. These terraces reduced erosion and expanded growing space. Water management was carefully planned. Stone channels distributed spring water throughout the settlement. Structures were organized into functional zones. Residential, agricultural, and administrative areas followed the natural contours. Movement within the site relied on stairways and narrow paths. Circulation adapted to steep elevation changes. The surrounding environment is lush and humid. Cloud forests support dense vegetation and frequent rainfall. Local food systems relied on crops grown at different elevations. Maize, potatoes, and native grains formed dietary staples. Machu Picchu was never heavily modified after abandonment. Vegetation gradually concealed many structures. Systematic study in the 20th century revealed the full layout. Research clarified construction methods and urban planning. Tourism now supports the regional economy. Visitor numbers and routes are strictly regulated. Walking paths follow original circulation lines. Guides help manage flow and protect stone surfaces. Machu Picchu represents careful integration of landscape and design. It shows how engineering responded precisely to mountain environments. Across the planet, these UNESCO World Heritage Sites reveal humanity's shared story. They show how landscapes and civilizations shaped each other over centuries. From fragile ecosystems to enduring cities, every place reflects balance and responsibility. Preserving these sites means protecting memory, knowledge, and natural systems. This journey reminds us that wonder is not only seen, but carefully sustained. If this journey added value to your understanding of our world, please like and subscribe. It's completely free, but it supports meaningful documentary work more than you realize. And share your thoughts in the comments. Which country should we explore next?